So, good morning everybody. For those that you don't know me, hello, my name is Rachael Ellis. I work in a hospital. I don't work in a retailer. Don't have things to sell. Don't have things, lovely things of tags to go on. Very different. So, before we start, I want you to do something this morning. In my hospital, I'm going to tell you about it, how big it is in a moment. However, I want you to put your hand right on your heart. Right in the centre of your chest, everybody. Put your hand on your heart. For those that you don't know, right in the middle of your chest, about 3 centimetres to the left. Okay, that's where your heart is. Right there. Can you feel it? It keeps you alive. It beats. It changes your life. It's when you feel nervous, like now, don't put a heart monitor on. It'll be about 300. They'll be saying, get her a crash team. Okay, compared to yourself, and probably between 60 and 80. Great. So, today I want you to imagine that you're going to have open heart surgery. You, individual people. Okay, in my hospital today, 24 other people, well, there's actually 26, so 25 other people are on that list to have open heart surgery in my hospital today. The hospital that I work has 103 theatres. It's huge. It's a massive, massive 5 sites, big operation. This is what it looks like. And here you've got all the machines, you can see them all. This is the surgeon and this is during. So imagine that you're already anaesthetised. You've been put to sleep, your nerves are jangling, you think, am I going to recover? But actually you're going to have a new valve replaced and your life will change. You will be able to run. You'll be able to play with your grandkids or your own kids, or you'll be able to just, kind of walk up that hill. Makes a massive difference. So today you're going to have your heart surgery, okay? You are one of 26. Your pathway is going to be you've been pre-assessed. We've taught you about what anaesthetics do you need. How do you react to certain things? How well do you come round? We've done all that. We've taught you about it. The multidisciplinary team have already worked out what they're going to do, what that pathway looks like. Every cardiac patient goes into ICU, so we need an ICU bed. Okay, that's what's going to happen after your surgery today. Surgery should last about 4 hours. You're going to have a single valve replaced, probably an atrial valve, most common valve that we replace. In Britain, obviously we have a free at charge, so you won't pay for any of this. It's paid for via your taxes. I know it's different in the States. I already know that. Don't come at me, I know. But anyway, so this is what's going to happen. Okay, you've got a really good team. Everybody's around you. You're going to go into ICU. You're going to be in a bit of pain. We're going to split your chest open. You're going to have a sternum saw, okay, and you're going to be stitched with wire pacing wires called myo wires. They're quite sharp. They're a bit like the stuff that you kind of piece together on the binders of books. Very similar to that. So don't put your fingers near them. You probably cut your fingers. So that's what's going to happen. Okay, now, for all of that to happen today, before we start on the RFID, it all links, I can assure you, don't worry. Getting there. So ultimately, these are your machines. Yeah, we can see here, this is the cardiac bypass machine and all the tubing and all the wires that go around. These are your outputs on a monitor. That monitor has an RFID label on it. Notice I don't say tag. Over here, we can see everything going on, and this is when we go on to cardiac bypass. This is when we effectively turn your heart off, and it no longer functions. It no longer beats. That heartbeat in your chest no longer beats. This machine pulls all of your blood out of your body. It comes up, it comes out, and instead of going through your heart chambers, it comes out to this machine. This machine here puts you on cardiac bypass. We've all heard of, I'm having a cardiac bypass. That is that machine. Okay. What we need is, we need people like Sally, who's a scrub nurse, experienced scrub nurse, brilliant. She'll go in yesterday afternoon with her team, and she will have picked around 70 items that we know that you are going to need. On average, you need 127 items for a heart surgery piece. Okay, 4 hours, 127 items. You'll need about 6 of these, usually. These are known as sterile instruments. People talk about them. They have to be cleaned each time. They look a bit gruesome. They're a bit Victorian in their style. Some of them come in metal tins like this. Some of them come in like a single packet, as thin as a crisp packet, and we'll see that in a minute. So this is all of us. We've all prepped. So now, onto the RFID part, okay? We've gone into surgery. Surgeons are ready. Anaesthetists are ready. Everybody's doing. Surgical care practitioners are there. The circulators are running around. They're getting everything. All is good. Okay. So let me now tell you about the hospital. The surgery is running. We're doing great. So ultimately, what's going to happen is you are going to be You can't quite see it, but it's up here. Everywhere on this site is one of my sites. This is one of my hospitals, just one. And there's a bit more to it than that, but couldn't get on the picture. There's 5 sites at the hospital. We have 19,000 staff, of which 14,500 are clinical. Okay? We are absolutely massive in terms of size and scale. Huge. We're on the east coast of England. Now, one of the big things I want to talk to you about is the fact that people go, why do healthcare get it so wrong? Why do they spend so much money and don't quite get it right? My money, especially in Britain. We all pay our taxes, right? Hopefully. So, otherwise you can't afford any cardiac surgery. So ultimately, but let me give you this scenario. 835 people will come to my ED today. That's about 6 times the amount of people. Look around this room. 6 times the amount of people in this room. Do you know what any of them are coming for? Only about 10%. So how do you deal with a hospital that allows everybody just to walk up and you get everything from kids who've put peas in their ears, right? We get people with things that are stuck in places that shouldn't be stuck. We get people who are having a genuine heart attack. That's on top of the 26 that were already planned, okay? We have people that come that have, like, sliced their arm off. People that think, I can do a marathon, fall over, break, smash their face in, need oral surgery, all their teeth gone. We get that every day. 835 people come to the hospital and we have no clue what they're coming for. Now, the other thing is, compared to a retailer, and I'm not having a dig at retail, I would love to work in retail to some extent, it's so easy. She says on the stage before she gets, lynched off it. But in retail, you buy a product, you make a product, you talk to the supplier, what colours can I have, what range can I have, what sizing can I have, what SKU am I going to call it, what's its price point? Once you've agreed those fairly key pieces, it then flows through your logistics. So you make the batch of it, you pallet it, you put it in boxes, you get it to your distribution, you get it to warehousing. Eventually it gets to your stores or online. Brilliant. You sell it to the customer, and as we learned earlier, Boris, the buy online, return it in store, happens. Very rarely though, probably, 10, 15% you get a return, got to deal with it. Imagine doing that with all your warehousing and all your logistics, and 90% of it is open to your customers to walk through. Imagine it. Because if that's laid out exactly the same as my hospital, 90% of my hospital is available. All of these, all of them. There's a building down here which you can't see, which is mortuary. There's a building up here which is linen and laundry. And that's it, on this site. So you now imagine running an operation where 90% of your floor space can be accessible by people who are just, sorry, I'm looking for ED. Got a child who's put a pea in their ear. Okay. Yeah, bit different to what you've got now, which is closed containment. We don't have that at all. So the numbers are massive. We have everybody walking everywhere. We don't know what we're going to get. Give me that question again. Why are we not very good? Quite difficult, that's why. So what did we do? So we used RFID. Language is really important in healthcare. Really important. More important, perhaps, than what you realise and recognise. So one of the really big things that we've got here, we've got one of my team, Tiju. This is the original label. This is the RFID label that's printed. It's a bit blurry when it's being blown up. And this is a sterile services label that goes on those instrument sets that we saw earlier. They're not reusable. This one here is. So that one goes on things like nebulizers, ventilators, beds. Okay, that one on the right-hand side is a single use only because we have to re-sterilise that tray. Completely different use case. So we put them on, but we don't call it, I know that in industry you call it a gun. Right, can you imagine now, you've recovered, you're in ICU this afternoon, And Linda shouts down the corridor, Florence, have you got the gun? I'm looking for an asset. Everybody goes, what the hell's happened to that patient? Turned into a vet's. No, we haven't, no. So ultimately we changed the wording, and we have to change that wording. You do not have a choice. So we don't have a gun, we have a wand. Because it is like a magic wand, and when one of my team saw it, I said, we can't call it a gun. We cannot call it a gun. This is ridiculous. And they were all like, yeah. I just said, well, it's like a bloody magic wand, really. I said, why don't you call it a wand? There is some slight connotation in the UK to that word, but anyway, we'll go with it. So, that's one for later after the bar. So basically, and those that know it, filthy. So, stop, honestly, keep going. So, these are some of the headlines of the programme. So, we have 72,000 assets that have been done and labelled. It took 15 months to label them. We've labelled everything from a drip stand, you know, the ones that patients walk on the corridor with, that's hung with fluids, right through to beds, footers. We even labelled a skeleton with all its bones, because for training purposes, the orthopaedics used to steal the hips and the pelvis. And then we'd come to it and you've got a skeleton with no middle. So we had to do that as well. So, the number one search is bladder scanner in the middle of the night. It's a men thing, really, not always, but it is generally a male issue, being truthful in our hospital. And it gets searched for, so we can actually test whether or not your waterworks, your urinary tract, etc., is all working properly. So we go and find the bladder scanner, check that everything's okay. It's the number one searched item in our library, if you like, of assets. So, we were the first trust in the UK to actually label everything, and we were the first trust in the UK to scan and track all our sterile trays. And that becomes incredibly important in a minute when I show you this. So, obviously we talked about we reuse all our equipment. So in your heart surgery that's going on right now, remember, yeah, we put his hand on his heart, the anaesthetist's still watching you, your heartbeat is doing really well, you've gone on to bypass, everything's looking terrific. Okay, so all of your things that you leave the theatre with, you will have a syringe driver. For those of you who don't know, it's like an injection which is pumped through a drive, which basically gives you so much at a certain time. So it might regulate it to 10 mils an hour, 10 mils a minute. You know, if you're really poorly, it might be 100 mils for 5 minutes. So basically, you've got one for fluids. Okay, put some more fluids back in you. It's always not a bad idea. You may have one for pain. Likely, after having your sternum split open with a sternum saw and all the stitches done. And you'll probably have one for antibiotics. And we do this as a good measure, bearing in mind your heart cavity will have been open for around 3.5 hours. So even though we work in a sterile environment, anything which is dropped is left alone and put on the floor to one side, no problem, but just in case. Because actually, everybody's skin has antibodies on it, good and bad. So let's just give you a dose of antibiotics just to make sure that actually you come through this fine with no minor infection. So when we look at that, when you come out of theatre, great, okay, the thing that's going to happen is you've got these 3 syringe drivers along with the bed, and you've got the monitors and all the rest of it. When you go into step-down care, which is when you don't need an ICU bed anymore, you're making good progress, you can go onto the post-surgery ward, you take those with you. Now, they belong to ICU. When you've done that and you go into a rehab ward and we get you up and we're doing a bit of exercise, can you imagine that for me? That would be hilarious. I'd be like, God, you didn't exercise before, why is she exercising now? But anyway, so we do that part of the rehab. You've got to be able to walk up the stairs, you've got to be able to push things, you've got to be able to open a door, and then we might think about letting you home, or we might not. Might say she needs a bit more. In my case, I'd never leave. But most of you will be fine. So that'll all be good. All get sorted. So when you leave, you will have been to 3 places. You will have been to theatres. You will have been to ICU. You will have been to a step-down ward. You might have been to a rehab ward. 4 places, of which the machines will have followed you. So guess what? When ICU start looking for a syringe driver, guess where it is? It's not where they think it is. And that's why we need RFID. So our kit gets reused all around the hospital. And when you leave, which believe it or not, if you're having surgery today, it's a Tuesday, you'll probably go home on Friday. You might even go home on Thursday if you're super fit. If you're Lorna, who does the Ironman, she'll go home tomorrow. So that's what's going to happen there. So basically, you will go home. And when you go home, somebody else, all that equipment will be checked, sanitised, cleaned down, reused. But it'll be in the wrong place. So we can't reuse it, we need to find it. So, going back now to your surgery. Okay. Unfortunately, we've had just a slight hiccup, and the nurse has just caught this here that you're looking at here. Okay, it's a mini clamp, and it's holding down one of your vessels. Okay, and unfortunately, as she passed it over, she dropped it. Just kind of skittered a little bit. Then it fell on the floor. We don't pick anything up. There's no 5-second rule in theatres. Doesn't work. Stop. There's no 2-second rule. There's no 1-second rule. If it's on the floor, gets kicked to the curb, and nobody else touches it. That's what happens. Any theatre that doesn't do that, don't be having the heart surgery there. So, what's now going to happen is, we've now got an emergency. You're on the table. You're anaesthetised. This is the item that we need. It comes in a packet. This packet here is as thick as a crisp packet. Small pack of crisps, not my pack of crisps. And then, they're all in these trays, here. There's around 1,200 in a big set of racks. That can take up to an hour to find one, because they should all be in one place, but guess what, when we go to it, there's none there. Can't find them. Somebody's on the table, okay? 5 seconds. Feels a bloody long time, doesn't it? 40 minutes feels like an eternity. That could be the difference between whether you stay till Friday for your heart surgery or till 3 weeks on Friday when you don't make it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so, doesn't matter though, because help is at hand. Perfect. Because we have, look here, a reader and a wand. Nobody in hospital call it a gun, ever. You will have me to answer to personally. So, this is a guy here, one of our non-executive directors, and we set everybody a challenge, and Mr. Harvey's done this, Lorna's done this, I think Mark Jolly might have done this as well. The storeroom's about from here across, and it's literally got racks, and it's full of trays. You know, them items like this and trays like this, it looks like that. Okay, so what we now need to do, previously that might have taken up to 40 minutes. Everybody, and literally everybody from all the theatres that is what we call spare and circulating will come out. So if you'd have been in MaxFax and you'd have been in a gynae theatre and you'd have been in the labs, we would basically go, help, help. It's called help, help, and everybody will come running. That is what happens in a hospital. Genuinely, that's what happens. So now we've got all these people ruffling through everything to try and find them in these racks. They can't find it. Takes forever. Pull racks out, looking through. Of course, your fingers are, come on, come on, come on, find it, find it. You are on the table and your heart chamber is filling with blood. That's what's happening, and we're suctioning that blood out, which then means that you need a transfusion, which means you need another machine, which we won't be able to find in 4 days. So that's all helpful. So, now we have an RFID reader and a wand. Plugs a number in. Beep, 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 beep. It's in this drawer. Find. Nobody has taken longer than 4 minutes, ever, to find a product that's been dropped in a sterile tray store. Never. Not even anybody that visits from Zebra that doesn't know what they're looking for. Not even exec directors at our place, at our hospital, that have never been to a sterile tray store, didn't really know what it is. 4 minutes. So, that makes a difference on whether or not you will come out on Friday. That makes a difference as to whether you will be basically on the table for 4 hours or for 6.5 hours. That will make a difference to the person. Perhaps this afternoon you've got the afternoon case, but all of a sudden your case gets cancelled because you're still on the table. You can't put somebody else on when somebody else is laid there. Not physically possible. So, RFID and a 20-minute presentation genuinely might just save your life. I've been Rachael Ellis. Thanks for listening.